Hey there, Aries. This is your Ascendant Forecast, taking you from the 24th of November right the way through to Sunday, the 30th of November, 2025. And this is the week when everything releases. So our recent 3-week episode with Mercury retrograde, that's going to go direct. Mercury is going to start moving again from 20 degrees in the sign of Scorpio. We've also got Saturn that has been retrograde for quite some time, going direct in the sign of Pisces. And so both of these turning around is going to feel really quite, I think, helpful. Things are going to get moving again. You know, Saturn is all about our structures, our form, our ability to be kind of serious and get things working functionally. And then Mercury, obviously, he's like the lubrication of, the wheels of industry. Mercury is all about messaging. He's also about delivering things, not just like verbally, but like delivering parcels of information, literal parcels. And Mercury is all about the movement of people as well. So, with Saturn and Mercury going direct, literally one day apart, that's going to really start things moving again. And we've also got Venus, who is the star of the show in this week ahead, going through a whole heap of beautiful and perfect alignments. And then she's finally going to go into Sagittarius right at the end of the week, really emphasizing that the Scorpio period is completely over and done with. So are you ready to dive right in? If you're new to this channel, by the way, my name is Louisa. Very big welcome to you at For Good Astrology. What I do with these ascendant forecasts is really try to give you a sense of how you can use the potentials of the planetary picture in a way that creates joy, freedom, and a bit more space for you. So let's have a look now. I'm going to bring up my slides. And as ever, I just want to put a quick shout out to everybody that supports the channel and also who supports my work through membership. Thank you so much. So here are the two charts for you. Here's the first one. This is the chart from Sunday the 23rd. Literally, the sun has just recently gone into Sagittarius here, and you'll see as we're starting this week ahead, you've got the moon already in the sign of Capricorn. And then by the end of the week, you'll see that the moon has moved from Capricorn all the way around to your own sign. And so just a quick heads up. If you've got Aries ascendant, you'll see Aries in your first house, especially if you use whole sign. This is a Western tropical whole sign model that I'm using. If you see that you've got Aries and Taurus, this sign in this first section here, then it's also worth listening to the Taurus forecast as well, because that will also have some relevance. Anyway, so we're moving from this chart to this chart at the end of the week, and you can see I've listed the biggest movements here, including Saturn and Mercury going direct on the 28th and 29th. So when I look at this, you see there's a few things at the start, but then the 28th, 29th, 30th, this is where all the movement is taking place. So that is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, if we go right back to the start, what you'll notice, and I've gone the wrong way, what you'll notice from this is as we're starting the week ahead on Monday the 24th, Mars is making a T-square to the nodes. And so that's here. There's Mars. And Mars is your ruling planet. So this is very, very important to you. Like Mars is the planet that creates action and helps you feel really assertive, that you're able to move forwards. He's direct, he doesn't like to be messed with. He doesn't always play well with others, because he knows who he is and he just wants to get on and do it. And so Mars is hidden, kind of caught between the past and the south node and the future and the north node. And so one of the things that's really coming in at the start of this week is reviewing your actions. Now, Mars currently is in your 9th house, which is a house of expanded thought and spirituality. It's also, where we might go to learn and to share information. It's also where we go to travel, where we go to have fun and do something that's really not the usual thing that you would do. This is a place that's quite unknown. And so to me, this is representing, I don't want to say a stalemate necessarily, but you're being encouraged to look at where you've not taken action before, in particular about the things that you consider are part of your everyday routine. So for instance, if you've got things in your everyday routine and it's a bit of a story, you know, this is what I do on Monday, this is what I do on Wednesday, and there's an action that you should have taken with your usual routine. Anything that you haven't done is kind of holding you back from feeling really free to dissolve your stories. It's almost like there was something you needed to do to be able to complete something so that you can move on and leave the past behind and feel like things are more expanded and that you've got a greater vision, you've got more space to be yourself. And so that's a feeling that I think is really coming up for you at the start of this week. And then we've got this really sweet little energy on the 25th, which is Tuesday, of Venus and Mercury. Mercury is still retrograde at this point, but in the 8th house. And this is bringing up quite a lot of unconscious energy. In particular, it might have to do with sibling relationships and how things are in terms of family wealth and family reputations. You know, how the crown jewels in your family line are shared and allocated. So you may well find out that there's some old attitudes and things that are coming up to be revised and looked at. It's not to say it's very difficult. I would say actually there's a lot of flow surrounding it. You know, we've got these lovely, great big grand trines. But to me, what this is indicating is that to get to the bottom of what's going on, you still have to lift up a few more rugs. It's not enough to take everything at face value. And if you take things at face value still, you're going to miss out on the deeper information that's really underpinning everything. I would not feel completely free of that until the 29th, you know, when Mercury starts to move forwards again. But anyway, that's something that I do see, you know, that is possibly a concern. Now, this part of the chart is also very much about your partner's money, if you have a partner, and how you manage your assets together. You know, friendliness and openness, which is really emphasized by Venus in a conjunction with Mercury, is great, especially if you can go back to the things that attracted you to each other. You'll get down to a much deeper level. And the very next day, and I love this, on the 26th, which is Wednesday, Venus is in an exact trine with Jupiter, which is really expanding. To me, it feels like there is some good luck attending to you. Maybe there's more money coming in than you'd expected, which is quite helpful. And then Venus is also in an exact trine with Saturn as well. To me, it feels like life is supporting you, you know, that you've got everything that you need at just the right moment in time, which I think is quite nice. And then as we're coming into, there's not much going on Thursday, unless if you're in America, obviously it's Thanksgiving, if you celebrate that. And then on the 28th, by this point, if I go to this part of the chart, you'll see it a little bit better. By this point, the moon comes into this quarter point, so we get to our first quarter moon, and that's really signaling that it's time to start taking action, and then things start moving. That's why I said this week is all about releases. So Friday, Saturn goes direct in the sign of Pisces, so he's going to start moving forwards. He's going to start coming towards your first house. Now, he's not going to get there until the 14th of February 2026. So he's taking a long, slow move forwards. However, that slow moving forwards is, I think, showing that everything that you've learned over the last couple of years to do with Saturn in your 12th house, I would say to do with mental health, to do with errant thought and belief patterns about yourself in terms of self-esteem and stuff. It's time to move beyond that. You know, whatever has held you back, you're ready to move forwards from. And it really feels like there are endings coming up. And it feels like you're in this little bit of a no man's land where you're just building resources at the moment, knowing that come February, things are going to start moving forwards. And it's not long now. It really isn't long. And so to me, this is a feeling of anticipation, which I think is quite marvelous. And then on the 29th, when Mercury goes direct, he's going to be working directly through your 8th house. Again, I think anything to do with resources that are owed to you that you could use more effectively, I think, again, you've got this understanding that life is actually wanting to support you. And then we've got this lovely series of energies between Venus, or like 3 movements. So Venus comes into an exact opposition with Uranus. That's interesting because it's definitely bringing up emotional breakthroughs, a feeling that there are real sort of turning points in relationships. It could also have a lot to do with emotional security and financial security, because, you know, Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and currently Uranus is in the sign of Taurus and they're in opposition. So I think there is some breaking news about financial security, creating a feeling of a turning point. At the same time, Venus is in an exact trine with Neptune, which I think is allowing you to go into a feeling of gratitude and also into a kind of dreaminess, you know, where you start to think, you know what, even if it doesn't feel that safe, even if things don't always feel obviously secure, I know I'm looked after. So I just really see that there's this kind of more faithful energy coming forwards, which really matches the fact that the Sun and Mars are already in the sign of Sagittarius. You know, Sagittarius is a place where really magic happens for you. You know, the sign of Sagittarius is bringing you, as an Aries ascendant, loads of freedom and opportunity. And then Venus finally goes into the sign of Sagittarius, and I think that's, you know, as we're ending the week, we're ending it with this sense of perspective, possibility, and momentum, because Venus going into Sagittarius is really moving everything forwards. We're completely, or almost completely, out of the Scorpio time, which really took us deep into some of our oldest feelings and memories and behaviors. And now we're really breaking free of it. So I hope that was helpful for you, Aries, in understanding the week ahead and some of the possibilities. I do think this is going to be an interesting one. And like I say at the start, you know, if you can remember what it is that you were meant to take action on, you know, from the past, that maybe you stalled, it's time to do that. And if you get that done at the beginning, I think by the end of the week, you'll be rocketing forwards quite quickly. So there you go. If I can be of any help, if you like the way I'm working with you, feel free to get in touch. All of my links are below if you wanted to work with me in some capacity. But have a fabulous time and hopefully catch up with you next time. Lots of love. Bye for now.